Hey friends of Old Man Brad and friends of the Real Feels podcast.
That's me!
This week we are doing a joint venture with each other, so depending on whose feed you're on, you're getting the same audio.
Right? So if you're watching Old Man Brad and you're used to his lovingly handsome face, that's great. But if you're fans of the Real Feels podcast, this is another episode of What Are You Watching, essentially, where Brad and I are going to be discussing something that we fully and wholeheartedly endorse from last year's 150 Days of Horror, where we just went balls to the wall crazy.
We did.
We kind of toned it down a little bit this year, and we are only doing 100 Days of Horror.
Only doing 100.
Only 100 Days of Horror. So as of Sunday, July 23rd, which as of this recording, yesterday,
yes, which marked 100 days until Halloween.
100 days until Halloween. So the goal,
our favorite day of the year.
It really is. It's my favorite time, like
yes,
the entire month.
Absolutely.
And people always say like, "Oh, Halloween, it's all horror movies." And I'm thinking,
exactly. That's
just
why
Halloween.
It's a lot more than that, but that's one reason
right?
I love it.
But horror is all year long. So the goal, one horror movie a day until Halloween.
Yep.
Last year, I tried to have the admirable goal of at least doing like 100 days of brand new watches, which, I mean, it's very doable with as many streaming services and especially Tubi. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to talk about Tubi. Brad and I are self-endorsed Tubi ambassadors.
That we are.
And we'd like to share the good word of Tubi with you.
We love Tubi. I mean, fans of Old Man Brad or, wherever else you watch me, Tubi Tuesday or whatnot, know the love of Tubi.
Tubi is always a good option, a good source for really anything.
Come the month of October, I'll talk about it again later. I did this last year. I'm going to do it again. 31 days of terror on Tubi. They usually do terror on Tubi over there. So I do a separate 31 days of strictly Tubi watches.
Strictly Tubi watching, which they get in the mood as well.
Oh, like yeah.
They get their own lineup ready. Lots of people are getting excited. There's plenty of things to catch up on. I think this year I'm going to go a little more lax. I'll still try to do new watches, but if something just strikes my fancy and I'm like, hey, that deserves a rewatch, I'll do the rewatch.
Is there anything on the list right now that you're like, you know what? I think this year I'm going to, watch this that I've never seen, or, maybe I'll throw a rewatch of this down that you've kind of thought of?
I mean, I think it's kind of a cop-out to say that every Halloween I always watch Trick or Treat.
Why not?
Well, I mean, it's a staple. It's a staple for Halloween night. So I always watch Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Within this rewatch, I can almost guarantee somewhere I'm going to have a rewatch of Zombievers because
it's been a while since I've seen that one. I might have to throw that one in too.
I really like Zombievers.
It's just silly fun.
It is. I know that when the Meg 2 comes out, that'll be probably part of the 100 Days of Horror.
I plan on doing a Friday the 13th rewatch. It's been many years since I've done a watch through of all of them, and I'm like, it's time. It's time to jump back and rewatch the series again.
I'm about halfway through what I have deemed Corn Watch 2023. So rewatching the Children of the Corn series.
Yes, you have been watching.
So I'm about halfway through that. So what the remaining half leading up to 2023's? Oh, I'm sorry. I mean 2020's Children of the Corn remake.
It was released just a month ago.
Yeah, but it's been sitting on the shelf since 2020. So rewatching those and getting into the new ones, I think that'll be good. That'll be good to add to the 100 days.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you said, Trick or Treat's a staple. I typically watch that. Halloween. The last few years, as you know, I'm a big fan of Candy Corn, so I will probably do a rewatch of that again.
It's been a few years. I might have to do a rewatch of Candy Corn.
And other anthologies like Tales of Halloween, I'm a really big fan of that. I'll probably do another rewatch of that anthology series. All Hallows Eve.
Watching All Hallows Eve, and that's just an excuse to rewatch Terrifier 1 and 2.
Of course. Yeah.
Which,
why not?
Folks, they're both on Tubi.
So is All Hallows Eve. So
all three, folks.
You got it all right there. All the Art the Clown you could
Art
want.
the Clown's origin and current reign of bloody terror.
And I know, as we said yesterday at time of recording, was mark the 100 days. So we've already gotten a few watches in there. What did you start with? You started with a new watch, didn't you?
So I did have a new watch. Each of them has actually been a new watch so far. So yesterday's first watch was Malum, which is the remake of Last Shift. Now, I loved how the director came out and said, Malum. Okay, so it's Last Shift, guys, but now I have the money to do what I want.
Yes.
And I'm like, whoa, hold on, sir. Because I loved Last Shift. I really dug Last Shift.
It was a good indie horror and like creepy.
Yes. And I'm thinking, what are you going to do? And then I watched it and I'm like, okay, I see what you did there. And I can't bring myself to score either of them more than each other. They're both at a strong 3.5 for me right now.
Okay.
But I think my favoritism has to lean towards the original. I'm not saying what he changed and did in the remake is bad, but it's a different energy.
Okay.
Overall, it's still good. There's still like legit things in it, and you know what? It was a solid watch.
I'm excited to check it out. It will definitely be on my watch for this year, for sure. I started mine with a rewatch. I watched the Banana Splits movie. It's just who would have thought?
I own it, but I haven't watched it yet. It looks
years
good.
ago when this came out that they take the old Banana Splits children's show people know of.
How'd that song go? La la la.
That's exactly
la,
how
la,
it
la,
goes.
La, la.
and they do that through the movie too, and they turn it into a little bit of a slasher kind of thing, like
nice.
Like Willy's Wonderland when it came out with Nick Cage.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Banana Splits is kind of what I wanted that to be, but it's
but it's something.
I like it. Okay. I like it better. It's just a fun watch. And the director, she also did the Slumber Party Massacre remake that came out.
Oh, the made for as how did Loy Sauce, formerly of the Epic Film guys, he put it. It has a made for TV it has that made for TV energy and feel to it. Mm-hmm. Not that it's a bad thing, but that's what it is. Because I mean, it was a sci-fi movie.
It was a sci-fi movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was one. I mean, and that's exactly what it is. And I mean, it's being presented that way. But it was interesting to actually read his review and actually have it say it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's still good.
It's made for TV,
very enjoyable,
but it's good. And if you're a fan of the Slumber Party Massacre trilogy, there's little nods to the entire thing.
Yes, there are,
and that to me is funny. That to me was very funny to watch, and kind of just like poke little holes at. Today, I watched 2023's another new one, Run Rabbit Run on Netflix.
That was on my list. I haven't watched it yet. So
you know what? Not bad.
Okay.
Little kids, always creepy. Little kids in masks,
even creepier.
I mean, it's not like new Pet Cemetery vibes, but
I still haven't seen the newest one.
You gotta watch
I haven't seen the newest one. There we go. I'll put it on my list for this year.
There you go.
And anyone who wants to follow along with this, it's just the hashtag, the number 100 Days of Horror.
Right. Or you can always, of course, follow along on Twitter. Sorry, X. You can follow along on
it's still on Twitter.
X. It's still Twitter, guys.
I'm putting over on Threads too.
Real Feels Pod. And Brad is To Be Tuesdays.
To Be Tuesday on Twitter, and just Old Man Brad on Threads, if you want to follow that. I've been using that a lot more.
There you go.
My second watch today for the 100 days was a local indie horror. It was filmed here in the Cincinnati area called All Your Friends Are Dead.
Oh.
It was enjoyable. I mean, it's a really low budget indie film, but I had a good time watching it.
I foresee myself going back and really making use of my Shudder account, because I want to catch up on all of the Joe Bob Briggs Last Drive-In episodes for films that I have not seen specifically.
Okay.
Which there's a few. Most of them I've actually been getting like watches in of stuff that I hadn't seen before, like The Mutations, Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
I have not seen that.
I watched Deep Red last night for the first time.
I have not seen that either.
You know what? There's a couple of really good. Oh, Tenebrae as well. There's a couple of really good Italian horrors that are all in there.
I think we should do a little update partway through our journey, and then at the end we should come back and give some highlights of like what were some of our favorite new watches through this 100 days, and go from there.
So I say we come back at every quarter.
Every quarter, okay.
Every 25 days.
I'm all for it. We'll do it over on the Real Feels feed and over here at Old Man Brad.
Guys, you get double the action.
You do. If you want to listen to the same episode twice, just listen both places.
Yes, double your pleasure, double your fun.
Follow along, and we will be back with updates on our watches here soon.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to you later.